Hi, Phil, could you turn that mic on the podium and let's just give it a quick check?
Jim, can you hear us?
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Oh, wait, there's champagne? That's really great. How wonderful. And the lobster, I love these lobster rolls. Yeah, yeah. Are these mini eclairs? Oh, how lovely. Really enjoying it. Yeah, we can pop the champagne in front of the microphone. Yeah. Oh, and I love these tarts. These like small little like, yeah, very. I love the lemon ones too, right? And then the strawberry. Are those chocolate rochers? Oh, these are my favorite. Okay, I think they can see me eating. I don't want them to see me.
We're about to begin. The live stream is running live. Thank you for everyone for being here on behalf of the DEIA Council. We will open this celebration of AANHPI Heritage Month with an introduction by the Vice Chair. So Vice Chair, please take it away.
Thank you, Phil. I am delighted to welcome you and join you at the FEC's Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage event today. And thank you to the DEIA Council and the great FEC staff who have organized this event. As Senator Tammy Duckworth said earlier this month, AANHPI stories are the American story. AANHPI Heritage Month is a great opportunity to celebrate and learn more about many AANHPI role models and heroes. Let me mention a few. Icons like Patsy Mink, the first woman of color in Congress in 1964. In addition to writing bills like Title IX, the Early Childhood Education Act, and the Women's Educational Equity Act, Mink was also the first Asian American to run for U.S. president in 1972. True American heroes like Senator Daniel Inouye, a Purple Heart recipient who became Hawaii's first representative in the House and then served as Hawaii's senator for 58 years. Amazing. Voices of conscience like Fred Korematsu, who turned his imprisonment in the Japanese internment camps into a call for justice that reached the U.S. Supreme Court. Civil rights activists like Alice Wong, who founded the Disability Visibility Project, which is an online community that fosters and amplifies disability media and culture. And she also served on President Obama's National Council on Disability. In her own words, quote, "I want to create a world that is reflective of all of us. This is my life's work," end quote. Executive branch leaders like Elaine Chao, the first Asian American woman appointed to a president's cabinet as President George W. Bush's Secretary of Labor in 2001. and of course, Vice President Kamala Harris. I invite you all to take this opportunity to learn about and reflect on the contributions made by the AANHPI community now more than ever. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, violence against this community has significantly increased. We must make no place for that hate in America. The value of diversity is near and dear to my heart, since I, as many of you know, am from Queens, New York, which is not only the most diverse New York City borough, but also one of the most ethnically diverse urban areas in the world. And that's why the food is so good. And believe me, I am really upset that I'm at home today and not with you, because I hear the food is good at the FEC today, and I'm missing out. We are honored to have U.S. Commission on Civil Rights Commissioner Glenn D. Magpantay, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Ooh, thank you. Join us today. Mr. Magpantay is a United States Commissioner for Civil Rights and principal at Magpantay and Associates. He is a longtime civil rights attorney, professor of law and Asian American studies, and LGBTQ rights activist. He is principal at Magpantay and Associates, a nonprofit consulting and legal services firm. In 2023, the United States Senate appointed Glenn to the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights to advise Congress and the White House on the enforcement of civil rights laws and development of national civil rights policy. Before that, he served as executive director of the National Queer Asian Pacific Islander Alliance. He practiced voting rights law at the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund. He chairs the LGBT committee of the Asian American Bar Association of New York. And he inspires new legal minds by teaching at Hunter College, CUNY. He attended the State University of New York at Stony Brook and graduated cum laude from the New England School of Law in Boston. Commissioner Magpantay, welcome and take it away.
Thanks so much. If I stand over here, can you see me? Okay. Commissioner, that was great. And your presence on the Zoom was exceptional. I picked up a little tidbit from you. Thank you so much for being here and for joining us in this special month. So just a couple of things. So I'm speaking as an individual, not representing the commission as a whole. And so all my comments are by myself. And actually, it's also just me as a lawyer, as someone who's practiced civil rights and has done this work. I'm a New York lawyer, so I'm really direct. I'm really transparent. If you let me have the opportunity to speak individually and authentically, we'll go for a good ride. Yeah, I ain't like any other commissioner that y'all have ever seen. I really, sorry. I'll tell my story of how I got into the commission. I'm going to tell a little bit about my journey, like my history coming to America and coming to this role, and talk about being on the commission and like what it was like being appointed by the Senate majority. And I'll talk about the Senate. So my parents came to this country from the Philippines after the anti-Asian immigration restrictions were lifted in 1965. One of the first Asians to come to America, and we came to the East Coast, to New York. No one looked like me. I mean, we're in Queens, and 1 in 10 residents of Queens County are Asian Americans, but back then, like, the early 1970s, no one looked like me. I was the only Asian in my block. My friends used to say that my house smelled foodie because my Lola, my grandmother, would fry fish. I was in the 70s, and I was very happy to just put on my, listen to Donna Summer, put on my cassette tapes. So they never really kind of fit into that. The 1980s, I came out as gay, and that was a rough time. I was one of those kids that were bullied and thought I would never be anything more than an AIDS victim. I was badly bullied. I was harassed. I thought my future was just to catch AIDS and die, but I would be happy. And, I'm kind of effeminate. I present as a gay guy, and the Filipino kids really shunned me. I was also that kind of Asian dude. I was not good in piano lessons. I really hated them. I didn't get good grades. I didn't think I would make it. I was one of those gay youths that wanted to commit suicide in the 1980s. It is so disturbing that we are here to this day to hear about the young queer youth who are also struggling with the same issues. But we cannot do this work on our own, and we don't survive on our own. And there was a couple of women, Black women, who actually supported me and helped me get through college, helped me get to law school, or helped me to get into law school. And I made it. I had none of the indicators that I would succeed and do well in law school. But one law school, my alma mater, they took a risk on me and they let me in. I did great. I buckled down. I made law review. I made law review twice. How many of y'all lawyers? Okay, so law review, right? So I made it twice. So I did the write-on competition because I didn't think I would grade on. And then so I wrote on because I had good citations for format. And then the grades came out. And so I also graded on. So I was one of those kids that actually got onto law review 2 times in both ways. And I was so delighted to finally graduate at the top of my class. My parents were like, oh my gosh, she's really not as dumb as we thought. They were really very happy about it. And I said at that point, I really wanted to give back. And I wanted to support the community that would support me in doing this work. So I practiced voting rights. I went to the Asian American Legal Defense Fund and saw how Asian Americans in this country are growing in numbers. Asian Americans, Asian Pacific Islanders are the nation's fastest growing racial minority group in the country. We are the largest segment of immigrants coming to the United States, both legal and undocumented. A number of them are coming at the southern border too. It's not just Latinos, it's actually people from across the world. We did great. I came to this time and with these struggles, and I never thought that I would be able to testify before the United States Congress on the Voting Rights Act. I never thought I would have cases that would actually go to the United States Supreme Court. I see this stuff on television. I read about these people in the newspaper. I never thought that I would be one of them. I'm so delighted to see states and cities under the Constitution of the United States, under the Federal Voting Rights Act, so things like this could actually be real, but there's still a number of compliance issues. Like, sometimes you go to poll sites and it's hung upside down like this. They're like, oh, well, the Chinese and Korean, we can't be. I'm like, well, there's English, so turn it over. That's another problem that we have. We are still making sure that our community can vote free of discrimination, bias, and harassment in the languages that they are entitled to do that. I did some of this work with Phil. Oh, since he's gone, I'll tell all these Phil stories, actually. We have to. So is this being recorded? No, so there was this kid. I thought he was like, yeah, it's okay. He came on staff and I told him, okay, man, you're going to be, since he's not here, right? The reauthorization of the Voting Rights Act is coming up, 2006. Write the report to the United States Congress. Only about 600 pages that you have to write. He did all the research. And together, we were able to make the argument to the United States Congress on why an extension and continuation of the Voting Rights Act, which is a remedial and temporary provision, but still must continue so that our community can vote in their native languages. And I assure you, I was at another event with Asian American judges, and I said, you think the Board of Elections really wanted them to provide this on their own? No, we had to sue them to actually get them to do this. The face of America is so much more diverse and complicated than it has ever been before. And sometimes it is just so much easier to do less rather than do more. That is not our position. And so we tried to push the government to do some of this and try to advance these causes and issues within the community. About 10 years ago, I left the Asian American Legal Defense Fund and ran my own nonprofit. And I ran a national LGBT Asian American organization. I knew how to manage people, programs, and budgets. I wasn't sure if I could raise $1 million for an organization and support a staff. And I did great. And I share this again, not to say how amazing I am, because I really am, but I share this because it is the people who have supported me along the way. It is those mentors and sponsors who have said, you can do this, and that you need help. Like in the Asian American community, we are and people in general, we are very shy in asking for help. Oh, we need a lot of help. Look, after I left the Queer Asian Alliance, I opened up my own firm. And when all the anti-Asian violence started coming about, it was awful. A number of people actually called me at the firm. I had worked on passing the Hate Crimes Act. That was the first piece of federal legislation that I worked on in 1988. Obama finally signed it in 2009. And here I was being called by communities, law firms, some government agencies, I will not name which one, who said, we really need help to figure out how the act works. And it's not just I say what the act is, because I know what the law is, but I also know what the law's limitations are. There is so much more work that we need to do to make sure that our community can be protected and can enjoy the rights and privileges that are afforded to them under the Constitution and the laws of the United States Congress. It's actually really groovy that I was then asked to join the United States Commission on Civil Rights. And for those of you who don't know, the US Commission on Civil Rights, we are Congress's fact-finding agency, founded in 1957. We investigate the enforcement of civil rights in America, and we advise the Congress and the President on civil rights policy. I actually applied 10 years ago under the Obama administration. I interviewed, did all the vetting. I didn't get it. It's okay, I realized back then I'm an advocate. I'm better on the other side of the bench. I've been on other municipal commissions and state commissions, and people used to say, well, you're a very colorful character on this commission. And they're like, well, what does that mean? And I'm not sure that that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I got my job done. When President Biden was elected, all my friends asked me, so you're going to gun for a position in the administration? You'll be great. And I said, you know what? I think I'm good on this side. Sure, I'll throw my resume into the White House, resume bank and whatever. Certainly, if I'm asked to call to serve, I will serve. But I'm here. Let those of us who can govern, those of us who know how to be a really good commissioner, be better commissioners. I'm here. I never thought the United States Senate would actually call and actually said, yo, Glenn, we're really interested in you. And I said, Senator Schumer, I see the government many times over a period of 20 years. You really want me on your side? And you're the reason why we actually want someone like you on the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. And getting on it is because of my mentors and because of my sponsors and the people who've supported me along the way. I am so proud to be the only Asian American on the commission today and the first Filipino American to serve since Eisenhower. In so many ways, just because it's Asian American Heritage Month, I spent the past few days just going around talking to people, trying to be the role model that I am, which is kind of really scary and unusual because I'm not sure what kind of role model I am. But if I can mentor others and support them, so they can be in these roles and they can be authentic and they can be all of who they are, so that their true talents and abilities come to the fore, I think that's pretty good. Last year, the United States Commission on Civil Rights issued our report on what's been happening to our community since for the past 3 years on the federal response to anti-Asian violence. It was 30 years ago that the US Commission on Civil Rights did their first report on Asian Americans with a report called Civil Rights Issues Facing Asian Americans in the 1990s. I was a law student in 1995, and I was doing my law review article, and I was looking for a source to just talk about Asian Americans and other racial minorities in the voting context. There was nothing there, except for this federal agency that I didn't know a lot about. It actually did something about our community. And this is the mid-90s. I thought that was kind of cool. So I cited the report appropriately with proper public citation format. Of course, that's the most important thing. And then we continued to do this work. And it is really special that, I served on the New York Advisory Committee. I briefed the California and the Pennsylvania and the New Jersey Advisory Committees. And then when they asked me to join this committee, the commission, I was so proud. And to be able to do a report like this, because honestly, man, this report and the work that our community had encountered is not only the legal services that we had provided and that I had been doing, but it is very personal for me. I am the victim. I am the survivor of a hate crime for being gay from 25 years ago. I am the victim of a hate crime for being Asian from 25 months ago. It all comes around and it all happens again. And so I was really proud of the work that we had done to recommend vigorous enforcement of the nation's hate crimes laws that I and others and so many other people had worked to make happen too, to make sure that there are adequate trainings so that the community understands what a hate crime is, not only under federal law, but also under state and local law, which sometimes can be more expansive than the federal law. And third, language access, to make sure that law enforcement and victim services can provide language assistance in the languages that the community speaks. It is so important that we are doing this work and to have colleagues at the United States Commission on Civil Rights who advance the work and keep us going. Let me just tell you a little bit. Okay, so I know there's a commissioner here, but let me just say, it is the work of the staff, the career people. Go away for a second. Like, you know, we get all the love, right? We speak at all the events, but who do you think printed out my stuff? I mean, who do you think keeps me together? I am so grateful for the administrative staff, the support staff, the people behind us, because you were the ones who were, I'm sorry, because you were the ones who lift us up so that we could, sorry, I don't know what, excuse me. You're the ones who lift us up so that we can do the work that we do. I have no idea why that just happened. Excuse me. Because I cannot do this work on my own. I am incredibly grateful for my sponsors, my mentors, my staff, and the people of the commission to help me do this work in all the authenticity of who I am and where I have come from. The mascara is running now. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. No, I'm good. I'm good. In 1995, I applied to this commission. Do you hear what I said? No, that's not what I said. It is, but I said in 1995, I applied to this commission for an internship. Y'all didn't hire me. What a mistake y'all made. I applied for this commission, the federal election, the FEC, because of the work that you all do. Campaigns and elections and campaign finance has been hot, and back then, and even today, it was hot, and it was the place to be. And then now we talk about protecting democracy. There is no democracy unless we have candidates who are going to run. Voters are going to give people who play by a level playing field. You are the ones who ensure transparency and accountability in our system and to make sure that our election systems have a level of integrity. Our nation is so much stronger. Because if we were, yeah, and I was really that intern who had my heart set on working on this commission in 1995, and you didn't. Yeah, I think I interviewed. It was like, okay. But I didn't get there. You catch problems and you ensure accountability through enforcement work, and you show them what to do through your advisory opinions. Because, you know, people who are running for office for the first time, they don't necessarily know. They need to figure out elections and campaigns and financing are much more diverse today than they have ever been before. And I have to tell you, for those of you who are data nerds, I love it. Like, no, you know, I mean, you deal with numbers, you deal with facts, you look at fact patterns, you look at the details of the work. I know, y'all, some of y'all are like analysts like in the back room, but it is the work that you do that is so important. Again, the lawyers get to stand up and make the arguments, but who's the one who's crunching the numbers, giving us the claims that we need to do? Trust me, having been that person and actually having knowing it, and like as a data nerd, I am one of y'all. although I'm not very good at math. So that's another problem. I am incredibly grateful for the work that you do at this agency. It's a very small, it's a relatively small, but a powerful agency that has a tremendous amount of respect across in America and in me. And I'll tell you, I am so happy to finally be here. Phil, thank you for the invitation. It only took me 30 years to get to this point. I am so happy, but I am here now. Thank you so much. All right, y'all had some questions or thoughts. I'm always happy to do that. I didn't want to talk forever. I could talk all day, but you know, if I have an opportunity to share and to talk, would love to have that conversation. Yes, I will repeat the question in the mic for the virtual audience. Thank you. I'm disheveled, but I'm okay. I'm a little emotional. I really don't know where that came from, but this is a special place. I really, y'all need to know what y'all do here. It's very great. Go ahead, sir. How does the work on the commission give me a platform for the work that I have long pursued? And what was that? And if so, how do you do it? So this is the nice thing about the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. Unlike real commissioners, sorry, I was just a part-timer, right? I live in New York. I have my firm. I'm not a full-time commissioner. We come in to advise and to do the work that we do. And many people are unaware that there are so many boards and commissions and so many ways to serve the government in our country without having to find a full-time job. The full-time jobs are great too, don't get me wrong, but there's also many ways. And so I'm actually trying to promote people. I mean, part of the platform is to say, I mean, I talked substantively on civil rights, anti-Asian violence, and some of the work that we were doing. But the other platform that I have is my role where I didn't have to move to DC, where I didn't have to quit my job, and I can still serve my country and my community at the same time. There are vast numbers, there are vast numbers of boards and commissions in this country where we can serve. The advisory commission, the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights has 56 advisory commissions, state advisory committees, which advise us, and they also they do their own investigations of civil rights infractions. And it is their opportunity, 51 for all the 50 states and also each of the territories in DC, to try to advance these things. So what I try to do, my real mission is to be that mentor and that supporter to get more of us, and us in the broad sense of us, right? America, people who think that government is far away, it's complex. I never thought I could do this work. And I'm doing it every day. And to be able to do that, and to have that platform, and I could say who I am, how I am, and what my style is, to show that the government is representative of the people in which it serves. That's my platform. To bring so many other people to government and to service in the ways that you can contribute to this country. Thank you. As a longtime organizer who advocated for the needs of marginalized communities at the state, city, and national levels.
What surprised you most?
What surprised you most?
About being on the other side?
About being on the other side when I received my commission. Kind of what I was saying before, the awesomeness of the government at the work of what people do. These are both tough jobs and you work for a community and a country that is sometimes are totally ungrateful for the service that you provide. All you get is a paycheck, and you should be happy with that. There's so many talented people in this country, in the agencies that do really good work and they serve the country. And they're infrequently thanked and recognized for their service and their hard work. It's a hard time. You know, the world is tough. Things are complex. For those of you who are law and lawyers, you know that a lot, it's an adversarial system. So, you know, what kind of career is it to just like go into court and just get beaten up by the judge or by the other side all the time? It's awful. The lack of an appreciation for the people who work hard is probably what most surprised me and disappointed me in coming into the annals of the federal government. It's an incredibly talented, diverse, and well-meaning workforce that does not get the due and the respect that they so often deserve. And look, 2 years ago, when we were talking about shutdown and all these other issues and like government workers, is like, I'm like, you know, I don't understand what this is about. Now we understand why the people who work for this country and serve this country are so much more important. So I have an incredible respect for people, and that was actually not really the surprising thing, but what I had learned so much more, especially in the Beltway, you know, working with the agencies, going to the events, and just seeing how many people are doing amazing work. Probably what most surprised me, or what I most learned about having come to the commission. So the commission is 4-4. House and Senate, majority, minority, both presidential terms. I think some of my colleagues might find it challenging to work in a bipartisan way. I'm not going to say what kind of colleagues, like, you know, who or what. I came to the committee. I used to tell the story of how when I was filing voting rights cases, you know, we did nonpartisan stuff. I used to Democrats and Republicans. And I'll tell you, I got some of the greatest settlements and results on bilingual ballots from the Bush administration, from Republicans. And the Democrats just fight you, like, you know, take you on. Mayor Menino, the mayor of Boston, when I sued Boston for bilingual ballots and discrimination against Asian American voters, he called me an interloper on ABC News. I mean, God rest his soul. I get it. For me, I don't care what party you're in. I just want to get good work done. Right? You own the office, that is yours. You will be accountable to the people, and you will be accountable to the compliance with the laws that the Congress and the country had given us. I heard about and constantly read about the infighting and the tensions in this country, and that's in the field, but I like to think that it's a little bit better in the Beltway. What's actually interesting is I really do enjoy my Republican. I'm obviously Democrat, but I really do enjoy working with my Republican colleagues because I worked with them before. You know, we may not agree on everything, maybe not a lot, but we can respect each other and know each other and understand what we are doing across the aisle. And it was actually lobbying I was having a number of meetings on Capitol Hill, both sides, and it is always so great to talk to some of the staff, You know, the members have like very strong personalities, and so many people think about what they are like when they see their social media feed or how the media portrays them. But in real life, they're really great folk who just want the same things that we all really want. So what surprised me, I think, a little bit on the commission is on one level, the polarization of America has also infected many of the federal agencies. And I think we try to work, because we are bipartisan, a 4-4 commission, we try to be a 4-4 commission, but that takes a talent and experience that I think we're still trying to figure out. I think what's also challenging is that a number of us have been there for quite a long period of time, and some of us are very new, and trying to figure out that and the institutional memory. For myself, I've known about the commission for 30 years. I've seen the commission work, and I know what it can do and what it can't do, what its powers are and abilities, the real ones. My colleagues across everywhere, I still think some of them are very new to the commission. And they're still learning and growing. And I want to support them. The thing is, I look younger than all of them, so it's fine. I look good. So even though they're, I may look younger, I can teach y'all a lot. And that's, I think, the other thing that I have learned. I do want to recognize Tina Louise and our general counsel and the staff of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights for being here. Yes, I did say the comments of the commission of mine are only mine, not of the commission, and I speak as an individual today. But thank you, and thank you, David, for all of your work at the commission and everything that y'all have done. Of course, Stephanie Wong, who's my special assistant there. Like I said, she holds me together. You think I would have gotten here on time if she didn't tell me what to do? And it filled and said, I thought it was tomorrow. But I'm here today, so I said it's fine. Other questions? There was one, yeah. Thank you for sir. How does our commission investigate or decide which issues to look at, and how does the 4-4 dynamic play out, affect that? So that's a process. I'm a general counsel here, so if I don't get the procedures right, I mean, I'm in trouble. Let me speak as a novice and someone who's still learning it. I just joined. My lawyer is here. It's like, really? No, we do, and I don't know what's public. No, so we think. We look at what's going on in America, and we hear feedback from the communities. We try with our advisory committees, with our state committees, with the people that we know in the community to find out what is going on in America today, and what are the issues that we need to address, and what are the issues that we can strategically have an impact in the investigations that we do. And so we do a series of concept papers and ideas that we float around to each other and say, we think this is a good topic. That's a good topic. This is good. Oh no, we did that 4 years ago. Oh, this is a good topic. We did it 4 years ago, but we need an update. And what are some of the emerging issues that are there? Some of them are notoriously timely. Looking at FEMA operations in Puerto Rico and what the federal government done and the civil rights implications there. Looking at the civil rights implications of crime in America, because we know what had happened in communities across the country. Anti-Asian violence, I mean, obviously the report on anti-Asian violence, I think is endemic and very clear why a report from last year about what's been happening for the past 2 years is critically important. And now we're doing an investigation, just had a really great hearing and briefing on artificial intelligence, specifically facial recognition technology. And after we decided that, Senator Schumer came together and he said, we're going to do a meeting with all 100 senators on what's going on with AI and how do we develop bipartisan solutions? Because the option of not acting is not an option. We have to do something. This is moving much faster than we can, with tremendous potential and success and tremendous problems and devastating consequences for all of America. And those issues can be very much bipartisan. They're very much commonality. There are differences of opinion that we had. So in my personal commissioner statement, I may have more. We had like 3 concrete recommendations: training, enforcement, and language access. I put a few more, maybe around 25 more. I didn't get that through the commission. That's okay. I still said we did this investigation. I was able to say it as my own, as an individual commissioner, but I also buy in very strongly to the recommendations that we had put out. So I think we struggled to find, in a bipartisan way, what are the concepts and papers and ideas that have legal sufficiency through our general counsel, that our research division can try to competently figure out. What are the things that could win 5 votes, because we are a 4-4 commission, and trying to work collaboratively. I would also say there is both the broad topic And then there are findings and recommendations, which also, and each step is a vote, right? What topic we're going to investigate actually, and how we're going to investigate it, our research plan. So 4 ways in which we need 5 votes. I would love it if we can just try to get to like 8. I'll satisfy for 7. And I think that's the way we want to do it. If there is a president who wins 2 terms, then there is a majority for that political party. But we will always have minority representation. And the laws of this country, the civil rights laws, were not enacted with just one party. They were enacted by a majority of the entire United States Congress, and there are concrete perspectives across the aisle and on both sides on civil rights in America. I think we are stronger by working together and identifying those issues. You're never going to get everything that you want, and that's okay. We got to work with each other. You know, it's funny when Senator Schumer, or when his staff asked me about being appointed, I said, you know, I've yelled at the senator. He's mine, right? I'm from New York. I've yelled at the senator many times. They're like, yeah, we know. We get your letters. But I've also voted for the senator too. And, you know, I can vote for my senator and yell at my senator in the same calendar year. I don't want to destroy them, right? I mean, that's not helpful because they're probably going to be around late. They're going to be around later. I can push them to do what I think is right as a constituent. And I can also hope that they'll win another term or, you know, be elected, and I will talk to them. And regardless, and if they don't win, that's fine. I'm going to tell the other one too. That is my job as an advocate and an American citizen. And what I appreciate about Senator Schumer, he was very clear on my role as an advocate and did not curtail me in any way in what I was going to do. Because I tell you know, Senator, I'm on the committee. He's a political animal. Can I speak about that? Yeah, I'm going. He's a political animal, so you know. Everything's political with the senator. He's very sharp. He's very clear. I told him, look, Senator, I'm not going to do everything that you want. I'm not your lackeys. So we get it. He did ask me, though, but we would like to be informed. Like, could you just give us updates about the Commission on Civil Rights? Not a requirement. I said, completely fair. We do advise the Congress. You know, could we show them a copy of the report? Could we show them what we're doing and come back to them? And he's actually appreciated that. I've done that across the aisle because I think that is a meaningful, I think the members really should see more of what we do and the dynamic work we do. It's not just the times when they're under investigation or in trouble, but also when there's other things that we do to bring those issues to bear. And so we try to work collaboratively. We try to get 5 votes. Sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're deadlocked and we don't get it. And that was a couple of months. But we get there. We have to get there. And I think the American people are best served when we get there. And we figure it out. Other questions? Yes. I was wondering how you fitted the balance your job in the federal government with being activists at the same time. I'm a disability rights advocate. I'm sorry. And I also work here at the commission. And I was wondering how you balance the bipartisan aspects of the job and also your work as on the commission and as an activist. This is why I do love the Commission on Civil Rights, because I'm not a full-time commissioner. Right? I come in, I do my job, I tell the Congress and the people what to do, I tell my colleagues, and I go home and I do it again. It's very consistent. I mean, I won't take a vote that I don't believe in, right? And I will not compromise those issues because I do have a perspective and an analysis on civil rights enforcement in America. And I share that, but I am so honored to have this great platform. I've yelled at the government so many times and told them what to do on civil rights in America. Now I have the force of congressional authorization to say what they need to do on civil rights in America. Of course, I have to get 4 or 5 votes. So maybe I can't say everything they want, but that's okay. That's why I can talk as an individual, right? That I'm not representing the entire commission, but I am still a commissioner of the United States. And I have an experience and a level of authorization and title and a platform to be able to do that. And if I can do that in a way that is effective for people with disabilities, for religious and ethnic minorities. Look, people did not like when I talked about, and this is annoying, when I talked about reporting hate crimes against Jews and against Muslims. But I'm like, look, the Hate Crimes Act protects religious minorities. Y'all can disagree and y'all can talk as much as you want, but honestly, our community must be safe and there are bounds that exceed that. It is not, and this is what I also like about the Commission on Civil Rights, that it is not only, what I like about the Commission on Civil Rights, it is not just a political arena, but the civil rights and the legal arena which we work in. Congress is defined and the laws are clear on the laws and opinions of the United States of America, and we work within that construct. The politics, the issues associated with fighting is much more complex. I feel comfortable within the area of law to be able to talk about it in what it does, what it doesn't do, what are its strengths and what is its limitations. And so I work very hard, like I did at the very beginning, of trying to be authentic in who I am and still do my job on the commission. It's interesting. So like every now and then I apply for, there's a job posting that I get and I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. So I apply and then I have to fill out all the disclosures, like, and I have to fill out disability. Interesting because like, we have so many people in America who have a disability, you don't know it. And I'm really proud that we're able to recognize that there are laws that protect people with disabilities. And some of the things that the commission is doing, or thinking of doing is in that area. Come back to me in about 3 months and let me tell you what's going on. I can't say anything more than that, but it is of interest and we have authority under the law to look at these issues. What else? Oh no. Putting on your hat as a voting rights advocate and somebody who's working in that field in campaigns and elections. Wait, you said do it for the Zoom people. Hello, can you hear us? Hi, Mom. What in your assessment is our community? Are we a political force in this day and age? No, clearly not. Look, like I said, Asian Americans are the nation's fastest growing minority group, racial minority group, with the largest immigrants, and we are not represented. Why am I suing for things like this? Why do we not have a Congress? Well, elected officials at the state, local, and federal level who are not fully representative of America. Asian Americans are still a community that are strangers from a different shore when it comes from America, to quote a book from Ron Takagi. We're struggling to come to this country, which is one ordeal. Then we have to figure out how to operate in this country, which is another experience. Then you have to figure out your career, your job, politics, and representation. I mean, some of us come from countries where if you spoke out against the government, really bad stuff would happen to your family. Hong Kong, the history of Vietnam, the Khmer Rouge, what's going on now. We fled persecution and we didn't have the rights and obligations and the enjoyment that we had in this country. So we come to America with that. Then we got to figure out, oh, you're an Asian. I'm like, I ain't Asian, I'm Filipino. I'm an Indian. I'm a big, no, honey, y'all look alike. No one can tell the difference. You're Korean? Fine, you have COVID. You probably have the China virus. I'm like, I'm Korean. It's like, really, grandma, they can't tell. It's like the perpetrators are awful. We come to our jobs and we try to figure out, is it enough to just be the workforce? and keep your head down and not cause trouble. And hopefully someone will see you and you'll advance by just the quality of your work. And I think those of us who know is that we have to take risks. We have to work hard. We have to do good work, but we also have to put our achievements and success out of there. And then you got all the nefarious people who also you do well, and then you have people who tear you down. You know, the infighting, it's like a problem too. You just want to have a good job and you just want to provide for your family. And then we're going to talk about politics and representation and the freedom of speech and what that I can't give this much money. Our community is still new to America, and we are struggling to try to figure out how to operate within the political franchises that exist. We are not there yet. And I like to think that Asian Americans through events like this, through the work that you all do, through the great work of the United States Commission on Civil Rights, we try to help Asian Americans to get there. And I want to be clear that Asian American issues are not issues for Asians just in America, but in so many times are issues that enfranchise all Americans. The great Judge Leon Higginbotham talked about how a pluralistic government and a government that represents its polity and its community is a government that is announced for all. That is President Jefferson said that, oh, what did he say? I had a great quote. It is the consent of the governed that gives the government the legitimacy. And to have a government that looks like us. To have a government that can have someone who never thought he'd be anything more than an AIDS victim, and someone who just wanted to kill himself for how and who he is, or whose friends made fun of him for the way that he ate food, having rice for breakfast. Struggling for that pursuit and effort, getting there will bring Asian Americans to the political franchise so that we can participate equally and meaningfully as everyone else did, but also recognize that participation in the political franchise is a struggle and is very sacred. It is very fragile sometimes. So it is important that we do this work together. It is important that you all do really good work in the next couple of months. So much of America depends on all of y'all, especially in this agency. But hopefully together, we will see a level of diversity that is inclusive of the Asian American experience in the workforce, in the public workforce, in the halls of power, at the state, local, and federal level. We are not yet there, but it's events like this, and it was because of allies like all of you that we will get there. Thank you so much.
I don't think you ever need to apologize when you're showing and sharing something from your personal experience in your heart. So I just want to say thank you very much for being here today. Thank you for sharing time with our agency. For the guests in the room, if you don't know me, my name is Shauna Broussard. I'm one of the commissioners at the Federal Election Commission. Like Glenn, I appreciate the historic nature of my service on this commission, and I'm glad to be in a position to address the issues before me from a unique point of view. And that is why and I feel like I'm right in saying this, all of us embrace events like this as an opportunity to celebrate how far we've come. Just how far we've come. And while recognizing that there is so much work ahead of us. On this Heritage Month, I also recognize the wealth of diversity within this community and their contributions from this country's founding to the present. The many cultures, languages, traditions, and nationalities that make up the community remind me of my own home state of Louisiana. And in fact, among the oldest AANHPI AANHPI settlements in the country is near New Orleans. And while Morro Bay in California rightfully deserves recognition for its historical significance as the first place where Asians, specifically Filipinos, set foot in the Americas in 1587. It's going to say 16, but we got to say 1587, 20 years before Georgetown, if you want to do a little math. Jamestown, excuse me. Georgetown is around the corner. I keep forgetting that. New Orleans claims a unique aspect of Filipino and AANHPI history that adds to the city's reputation as the epicenter of America's melting pot. Specifically, in 1763, Filipinos escaping from a Spanish vessel established the first Filipino settlement in the U.S., St. Malo. Today, that settlement is in present-day St. Bernard Parish, which is right outside of New Orleans. You'll hit it and miss it before you know it. And their influence in the city's culture, cuisine, and traditions persist. But Glenn, on behalf of the commission and personally, I just want to thank you so much for spending this time today. You have shared some moments with us that we will not soon forget. And I think what you mentioned is a full circle moment when you wanted to be here 30 years ago. It doesn't always happen when you want it, but it happens when it's right on time. And so we thank you very much for being here today. And we thank the vice chair also for the wonderful remarks that she said. But I want to extend a personal thanks to the DE&I Council for sponsoring this event. What you're doing throughout this agency is bringing all of us together in these moments like that. And it's with such great appreciation that I want to say thank you. But I want to take a time to say a special thanks to Phil Olaya, who is in my office. You consistently push us for these activities, and these are the moments that I hope you feel the gratification for the work that you're doing. You are setting a pathway for those not only here today, but for those in the future. So thank you very much. Now, I believe there is a live feed, so let me tell the gentleman